Hey, so outside is a gorgeous spring day. I have this new inspiration. Let's get some seeds started. I do have seeds I started already, tomatoes and peppers, so I'll show you those. But I have other seeds I haven't started yet. I'm a little late to the game, but that's okay. We still have time. Our frost seems to be, or our last frost date always seems to run a little bit later. So I think I'm okay for time. I also have some dahlia bulbs, maybe some other flower bulbs in my cupboard that I haven't started yet. And because I didn't put them in the ground in the fall, I'm gonna put them in pots. So that way they're ready after the last day of frost has passed and they'll be ready to go in my new cut flower garden. So I have a big plan for a cut flower garden. I'll go through that with you and you can kind of see what I'm thinking of planning. Just go through the plan, how I'm gonna do it, the kind of flowers I wanna grow, and some different ideas for that. So we need the bulbs to be ready to go in the ground by that time. So I'll show you how you can start it now. I know a lot of places like the dollar store, Walmart, places like that, you can still get the bulbs now. So you could do them now and they could be in the ground by June 1st. Of course, your frost and your growing season will depend on your gardening zone and where you live. So we'll look at that. We'll talk about that as well. I also have a DIY trick for some garden labels that I like to use that look like aesthetically pleasing. They're super cute and they're easy to make. We'll go through that as a DIY as well. I also sell those on Etsy. So if you're interested, I'll give you a little more information about those and I'll show you those. But before we get into it, we are going to the cottage tonight for a couple of days just to change of pace, change of energy, and a new scene. So maybe I'll take you along for that. It's kind of fun in the spring. For me, working from home, being in school online, everything that this year and the past year has left me feeling more appreciative for things like garden and the gardening. And as busy as this year has been so far, I can't wait to get in the garden. I haven't been able to think about it. I have some seeds started, but now I'm ready. It's time to start planning. My vegetable garden is gonna be a little bit bigger. We're hoping to build some more garden beds this year. So once I get going in the seeds, I'll remember what I'm thinking of planning. And I need to make a bit of like a floor plan for where everything's going and which beds. But I do know, no matter what, we're gonna do this cut flower garden.
I love good news, love good news.
There's nothing like when you have a bouquet of flowers that come from your own garden. I think last year it was like every 4 days I was going out to the garden and coming in with different bouquets for every room. And I was just getting rid of the old, putting in new every few days as they were dying out. There's different colors and different vibes depending on the room. Like for example, my office was like a little bit more girly, so I had some girly bouquets in there. But growing your own flowers is nice because you can kind of stylize with what your style is. So for me, I love like boho, kind of wildflower kind of style. So I can look at those bouquets that I like, try to identify what flowers they are, and then I can build a cut flower garden around that. So let's get into it. I will take you through how to do some seed starting. I'll show you what I have. There's a lot of reasons for starting seeds. And one of the reasons why you might want to is, for me, it's exciting. Gardening here in Canada where I live doesn't start till June for the most part. So how can I bring that season a little bit earlier other than buying things or maybe planning? I can do things like this where I'm starting seeds indoors. It makes it a little bit more fun and exciting. Last year I bought all the plants from big box stores, which was cool. I didn't mind it. This year I got some fun heirloom seeds from a lady on Facebook Marketplace who she has been saving her seeds. She was selling them, so for me it was a good option. I am into seeds like Baker's Creek, which I ordered from last year, but I thought like, let's keep it local. So I went with her selection. I have started about 12 varieties of tomatoes, 8 varieties of peppers, and then I have all kinds of other seeds. I haven't even gone through them since probably January. So even what we're starting today, I'm not even really sure. I have to look to see what we have. But I'm excited. Gardening gives me the best vibes, gets me super excited, and it's just a fun expression. Also, when you have too many tomatoes, too many zucchinis, you're giving them to everyone you know. And that's a fun thing too. It also brings value to your plate. I know around here, there's a restaurant that we're obsessed with that uses only locally grown produce. And there was this, it's like a caprese salad. I never know if I'm saying that right, but the caprese salad used local tomatoes, and the tomatoes were like melt in your mouth, so amazing. And that was kind of my inspiration. Like, we have to grow our own tomatoes, because when you go to the grocery store, the tomatoes you get, they almost taste like no flavor. But in the summer, the tomatoes I pulled off the garden beds and I would pull out and fill buckets, my partner and I would go out there and we would cheers our little baby tomatoes, and we would say what they tasted like. And sometimes they tasted smoky. Like, there was one midnight snack and it tasted like a smoky kind of like whiskey flavor. It also tasted a bit like bacon, which I'm vegetarian, so that's really funny for me to say. But I was like, it has like a smoky taste like bacon. And that's the fun of it. You don't get that when you go to a grocery store. They might come in different colors or shapes, but they kind of taste all the same. So for me, that is like a huge benefit of starting your own seeds. I was lucky to get those starter plants. Like I said earlier, I'm a little bit behind, but now is the moment that I can get caught up. I'm about a week behind my schedule. I did plan for May 24 as being a frost date, our last frost date, which it's not. For us, it's more like June 1st. We had snow the first week of June. I do have that little cushion of time, so I feel pretty excited. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, so I thought, since I've been talking a lot about the vegetable garden and the cut flower garden, I thought we'd come outside and I'd show you exactly where I was thinking and what I already have that I'm working with. So back behind here, this fence is where I'd like the cut flower garden. So right along the fence there is some shade here, but it's only in the afternoon. So I think that will be okay. And then here is our vegetable garden. So on the left side here, I had a variety of different vegetables with some zinnias and cosmos right at the front. Here, same thing, more vegetables. There was cucumbers going over the cattle panel arch. They didn't make it over this year. I'll do scarlet runner beans. I think those will make it over and they'll look pretty good. So I'm excited about that. The arch will be, like, to me, I think it'll be very aesthetically pleasing, interesting to the eye. Back here I had tomatoes and peppers. Now this bed has a lot more weeding to do. This bed's also a little bit shorter than the other ones. So this means I have more work to do, but that's okay. That's the fun of it, right? It's still early in the season. A funny story that happened to me last year is I was over here gardening, watering the plants early in the morning. It was about 6 a.m. I brought my cell phone down and I was watching a YouTube video, and I also had a cup of hot coffee and I was trying to water my plants before I went to work. The funny thing is, over at this side of the property, I heard a noise and I was like, hey, what's that? And I looked and it's a great big black bear. So what did I do? I did what you're not supposed to do. What are you not supposed to do when a bear comes? Run. That's exactly what I did. I left my cell phone at the garden and I left my coffee and I just ran into the house. I was really upset because I was like, why did I forget everything? I have to leave and go to work. But I just got ready for work, and then I ended up waiting at the sliding door and seeing what happened. And by the time I turned around to wait, the bear was already gone. So he was probably more scared than I was. But that was a really fun story, and that was my first real bear situation other than at the cottage when we would have bears there, like at the dump or just eating the garbage. That was my first experience with the bear just by myself. I did have another bear experience after that here with the bear trying to eat the garbage, but hopefully this year I'll have a bit more of a bear-free season. That would be nice. Get your drinks, whatever it is, coffee, water, wine, I don't judge. So my seedlings, I told you I got them from Facebook Marketplace, a lot of them. Some I did buy from places and I had in the pouches. But what I did was I took all of my seedlings and I broke them up by time. So I looked, you look at your packet of seeds and it will tell you how many days before the frost date to start your seeds. You look at the date at the back and it will give you a good idea of when to start your seedlings. There's also a bunch of resources that you can just look it up. That's basically what I did, is I had a really fun day in January where I was just Googling when to start cauliflower, and it would say like 6 weeks before your final frost. And that's what you'll see on a packet. And with that, I kind of looked at the calendar and said, okay, my last frost is May 24th. And I did the math backwards with the calendar and said, okay, start these seeds on April 15th. And that's how I kind of made my plan of when to do things. So some of the seeds that I have in here are really fun. So I have like butternut squash, Emily basil, a package of direct sow, so the ones I should direct sow, which there's some pumpkins and cucumbers, different things like that. I have my tomatoes in here, which are already done, and I did some fun ones like Sweet 100, chocolate sprinkles, Brad's Atomic Grape. When I start my seeds, I always take my jewelry off. I like to feel the feeling of the soil myself in my hands. I think that's fun, and that's what I enjoy doing. So I always use my bare fingers when I'm doing seeds. So step one, you take your Rubbermaid container, and I toss in some soil. Now this is soil from about 2 weeks ago, and you just take your Jiffy seed starting mix and you dump it inside the bin. The soil is really light and fluffy, kind of airy. And that allows the little baby seedlings to come right through. Okay, so fill your kettle up with boiling water. What we're gonna do is pour the boiling water over our seed soil in our Rubbermaid container. What this does is this could kill off any chance of gnats happening. Sometimes you can get gnats in your soil if you don't do the boiling water. This is because the boiling water could kill off any potential eggs that could come. Okay, so take your boiled water to your bin. I put on a chair and let it cool down a bit and just pour it in. I'll just do all of it. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more. You want it to be damp, not muddy. So that looks good to me. I just mix it around with the wooden spoon and let it cool down a bit. And now the boiling water is cooling in the soil. I'm just writing out on these seed stakes. I just cut them into 4s and I'm just writing out my varieties. This one here is a lettuce. At first I wasn't sure. Dwarf blue curled. Actually, I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's a kale. I'll look it up. I'll put a little picture. Spinach, butternut squash, purple Sicily cauliflower. That'll be fun. I love the idea of purple cauliflower. All I do is I'll fill the container with soil to about there. Just tap it down a little bit. You want to keep it sort of light still. You can see the level. And then I put it over in my bottom water tray, which we'll fill with water after we are done our seedlings. Go on to the next. And you'll just fill all your containers. One thing I should mention is you don't have to buy containers like this if you didn't recycle them, or if you just never had them. You can buy those containers that are like, I know Jiffy makes containers like that. I'll link those too, just in case you'd prefer to use an option like that. If you do use solo cups, just make sure you drill holes in the bottom. You could stack them and put a drill right through the bottom, all of them at the same time. Just be careful doing that, but you have to have drainage. So that was, when I run out of these containers, that's what I'll be doing, is I'll be switching to red solo cups and drilling a hole. Some of them I already have, and I'm just gonna reuse those again because they already have a hole in them. They're great. And then you can do that again where you save those all over and you do it again next year. You have the cups already with the holes in the bottom. So it's pretty sustainable in that way. Of course it's plastic, but you can reuse it again. So that's awesome. So just keep filling your containers. I did about 2 to 4 cups for each variety that I'm doing today. So just fill it up. Okay, so now I have soil in all of my cups, and I put the name of each variety on those little garden stakes, so that way as I get going I know where to put them. I also know how many containers I need. It just kind of helped me while I was filling up the soil. Now you're gonna take one of these bamboo skewers. I get them from the dollar store. They're those like bamboo ones, and you're gonna use this to poke your holes for the seeds. So I do 3 seeds in each cup. 3 seeds in each cup. Just kind of generally make little spots for them, and I go around and do that to each cup. You don't want to go too deep. About 1/4 inch is fine. You want to keep it still light and fluffy on the top, and just poke your holes. My nails are helping me today. You just drop it in your hole there. These are so fine, they're hard to find. And just sprinkle it in. So you just want to do a little dusting of soil over top, not compacted or anything, just enough that it can break through and still have some soil over the seed. Okay, so these all have seeds in them. I put a little light fluffing of soil, just mixed it around, put it on top of the seeds. So now I'm gonna bring this to where I'm gonna place it, which is gonna be under a shop light. I have to set that up for the next shelf, but it will go under a shop light there, which I'll start with like 20 hours a day, and I just kind of wind it down from there. I have found that I haven't been on a super regular schedule with time. It's not always the same amount of time every day, but the seedlings I have are doing really well. And with a bottom water tray, we'll fill it up with water once it gets into its place. You can fill it with water, and then you don't have to worry about watering it every day. You fill it with water, and over time, as they get bigger into seedlings, they'll require more water, and you can just water them more frequently. So keep an eye on that as they grow. You'll know when to water because the top of the soil will start to dry out. It'll get a lighter brown, and that's how you know it's time to add water to the bottom. Okay, so this is my seed starting station. I actually got this from Home Depot, but I originally was going to get it from Amazon, but they were sold out at that time. I'll try to find it and link it. And then I have the shop lights hanging from string, which makes it really easy for me to adjust it. So they're always a little bit taller than the tomatoes and peppers. So that has been working really well for me. And again, we just bottom water. So I'll set a shop light up for this shelf as well. And I'll add a little bit of water to these guys. Okay. So we're done our seedlings. They look good. I'm excited. I just cleaned up, just taking 5 minutes to relax. And then I'm gonna pack some comfy clothes for the cottage of my order supplies because I have a lot of orders that came through last night. And if you ordered from me, thank you. I appreciate you. If you wanna learn more about Etsy in general, I'll link my video that I did either in the bio or up top, all about opening an Etsy shop. My partner is still not home, but when he gets here, he can just pack a bag and we can head out and have a fun Friday night. I'll take you with me. Did you make seedlings with me? Are you gonna make seedlings with me? Let me know what you're starting. What seeds are you starting? Comment down below. I'm curious. I also am probably gonna still buy plant starts because that's fun to do too. But let me know how it went, or if you haven't started yet but you're going to, comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for joining me. So I decided to split this vlog up into 3 parts. So we had this part, seed starting. Next week is going to be how to start dahlias and other flower bulbs indoors ahead so we can do our cut flower garden. And I'm going to go through the plan for that at the cottage so you can kind of see what I'm thinking. And then the 3rd part is going to be the DIY garden stakes. So make sure you're subscribed, like this video, and I'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye. Somebody